Gen V Season 2, Episode 4 promises to be the breaking point where every hidden tension at Godolphin finally explodes into the open. The first 3 episodes showed us the uneasy balance between Marie, Emma, and Jordan as they tried to escape Vought's reach and return to the university, only to be trapped in a world where nothing is as it seems. With Dean Cipher now in control, Godolphin has transformed from a place of reckless experimentation into a military machine designed to build soldiers for Homelander's future empire. Cipher's vision is terrifying, and his methods are cruel, forcing students through brutal training sessions that strip away individuality and loyalty to friends, replacing them with obedience and fear. This is the foundation of Episode 4, a test of loyalty where no one can escape the watchful eye of the new dean. What makes this episode so suspenseful is the looming reunion between Kate and Sam. Once friends, once allies, their return to the group will not be warm or forgiving. Kate's betrayal in Season 1 left scars that have not healed, and Sam's fragile state of mind means that his reunion could spiral into something violent and unpredictable. Under Cipher's influence, both of them may become pawns in a much larger game, and their actions could put Marie and the others in grave danger. Imagine the tension of old wounds reopening in a place where betrayal is already running deep. Episode 4 may be the moment where trust finally breaks beyond repair. But the danger doesn't stop with fractured friendships. Episode 4 is also expected to unravel more about Godolphin's hidden experiments, the ones Vought has kept buried beneath layers of lies. Cipher's arrival could be the key to exposing these secrets. Students may discover evidence of covert programs linked directly to Homelander's rise and Vought's plan to tighten control over soups worldwide. This isn't just about training teenagers. It's about building weapons, manipulating minds, and creating an army that serves one master. The moment these truths begin to surface, alliances within the group will be tested. Who can Marie trust? Who will betray her? And who will stand by Cipher's side when the lines are finally drawn? Andre's absence will weigh heavily on the characters, adding emotional depth to every choice they make. With him gone, the team feels incomplete, vulnerable, and lost. His death has left an open wound that Cipher can exploit, using grief as a weapon to turn friends into enemies. Episode 4 may push Emma, Jordan, and Marie to confront their pain, while also facing the ruthless demands of Cipher's regime. And in this fragile state, betrayal becomes even more dangerous, because one wrong choice could doom them all. The heart of Episode 4 is about trust. Can friendships survive in a world built on lies? Can loyalty survive when Cipher demands total obedience? As students are forced through increasingly brutal trials, as Kate and Sam's reunion sparks old rivalries, and as Godolphin's secrets begin to unravel, the stage is set for a deadly turning point. Viewers should brace for a shocking ending that shifts the balance of power, leaving fans desperate to know who survives, who betrays, and who falls under the weight of Cipher's control. Episode 4 is not just another chapter. It's the moment the entire season pivots into something darker, bloodier, and unforgettable. Episode 4 of Gen V Season 2 will not only test the limits of the characters, but will also drag the audience into a darker, more sinister side of Godolphin University that has been lurking in the shadows since the beginning. Dean Cipher has already proven himself to be more than just another administrator. He is a strategist, a manipulator, and most dangerously, a man who believes in shaping the future through fear and obedience. His arrival has marked the shift from chaos to calculated control, and in this episode, that control begins to suffocate every corner of Godolphin. Cipher's methods are not designed to inspire, but to break. He pushes students to their physical and emotional extremes, using punishment and reward as tools to mold them into soldiers for Homelander's vision of America. These training sessions aren't just about strength, they're psychological warfare, forcing students to betray their own values, abandon their friendships, and choose loyalty to Cipher above all else. It is in this suffocating atmosphere that Marie, Emma, and Jordan are forced to make impossible decisions, knowing that one mistake could cost them their lives, or worse, their freedom. The reunion with Kate and Sam intensifies the tension to an unbearable level. Kate, whose betrayal in the first season shattered trust beyond repair, faces the heavy weight of her past actions, while Sam, volatile and unpredictable, wrestles with his own inner demons. This isn't the kind of reunion filled with forgiveness or healing. It's one charged with resentment, suspicion, and the kind of raw pain that Cipher will be eager to exploit. Episode 4 sets the stage for their return to feel less like a homecoming and more like the arrival of enemies within the gates. Kate may claim she is ready to atone, but can Marie or Emma ever truly forgive her? And Sam, with his unpredictable nature, could tick the balance in a second if Cipher manages to manipulate his fractured state of mind. Underneath the surface of this reunion lies a dangerous possibility. Cipher turning both Kate and Sam into weapons against their former friends, forcing them into choices that could tear the group apart permanently. Meanwhile, the dark underbelly of Godolkin's hidden operations begins to surface. Students are whispering about disappearances, about classmates who entered special programs and never came back. Files are discovered that hint at Vought's more sinister plans, programs designed not only to strengthen Supes, but to brainwash them into obedience. The experiments are cruel, combining biotech enhancements with psychological conditioning, all designed to strip students of their individuality. In Episode 4, it becomes clear that Cipher is not just continuing these programs, he's accelerating them, determined to prove his worth to Homelander and Vought by creating the perfect generation of loyal soldiers. For Marie, Emma, and Jordan, uncovering these secrets isn't just about survival. It's about exposing a system so corrupt, so dangerous, that it threatens the very balance between humans and Supes. But exposure comes at a cost, and every secret revealed could put a target on their backs. Andre's absence looms like a shadow over every moment. His death, sudden and cruel, has left a fracture in the group that refuses to heal. Marie feels the weight of his loss most deeply, carrying the guilt of what could have been done differently. Emma's grief manifests in anger, lashing out at those around her, while Jordan struggles to keep the fragile remnants of the team together. Cipher, cold and calculating, sees their grief not as weakness. The reunion that should have been a step toward healing may instead become the spark that ignites war among the students themselves. But beneath all the personal turmoil lies the growing mystery of Godolkin's hidden operations. In earlier episodes, whispers of underground labs and covert programs hovered on the edges of the story, but in Episode 4 those whispers begin to take shape. Documents, surveillance footage, and even testimonies from students who barely survived the experiments hint at something bigger than anyone expected. Cipher's agenda is not his alone. It is a continuation of Vought's darkest ambitions. Episode 4 reveals that the school isn't just about producing Supes, it's about producing tools. Biotech enhancements, psychological conditioning, and experiments that blur the line between human and weapon are revealed in chilling detail. The school is no longer a university. It's a factory, and the students are its raw material. The horrifying truth begins to dawn on Marie and her friends. Godolkin is not a place to learn who you are. It is a place where who you are is stripped away and rebuilt into something Vought can control. This revelation not only threatens their physical safety, but also strikes at the core of their identities. Andre's absence lingers like a ghost through every scene of this episode. He was more than just a friend. He was a stabilizing force, a voice of reason in moments of madness. Without him, the group feels adrift, and the emotional vacuum he left behind threatens to swallow them whole. Cipher senses this weakness and digs at it, turning their grief into fuel for his control. Marie is haunted by guilt, Emma by rage, and Jordan by the weight of responsibility. Cipher doesn't need to break them himself, he simply lets their pain fester, knowing that grief left unchecked can be more destructive than any physical weapon. Andre's death is more than a tragedy. It's the opening Cipher uses to erode their unity. And in Episode 4, that erosion reaches its most dangerous stage. The balance of power within the group shifts constantly in this episode, and every moment feels like standing on a knife's edge. Cipher's influence begins to create cracks that widen into chasms, and the students find themselves asking questions they never wanted to ask. Can I trust the person beside me? Will they choose me over Cipher? Will I choose them, or will fear drive me to betray them first? These questions, heavy and suffocating, form the core of Episode 4. Trust becomes fragile, loyalty becomes a weapon, and betrayal becomes inevitable. as Kate and Sam's return fans the flames of distrust, as Cipher's experiments reveal horrifying truths, and as grief over Andre tears at their hearts, the group faces the terrifying possibility that the enemy isn't just Cipher or Vought, it might be each other. Episode 4 builds itself as the ultimate test, where every choice carries unbearable consequences. One wrong move could doom friendships, one misplaced trust could cost lives, and one act of betrayal could reshape the season entirely. Fans watching will feel the tension clawing at every second, the dread that something is about to break, and the certainty that nothing will ever be the same once the episode ends. This is not simply another chapter, it is the turning point, the moment where the story shifts from survival to war. When the credits roll, the audience won't just be left with questions. They'll be left with fear, excitement, and a chilling realization that Cipher's grip has only just begun to tighten. Episode 4 is where Gen V stops being about who these characters want to become and starts being about who they are forced to become in a world where trust is a weakness and betrayal is the only way to survive. As Gen V Season 2 Episode 4 drives deeper into its narrative, the shadows surrounding Godolphin University stretch further than anyone imagined, consuming both the students and the viewers in a storm of paranoia, betrayal, and unrelenting fear. The episode becomes the crucible where every hidden truth begins to surface, forcing Marie, Emma, and Jordan into a fight that is as much against themselves as it is against Cipher's suffocating authority. Cipher thrives on chaos, but he controls it with precision. His training regimes evolve into something even more brutal and inhumane, no longer just drills to test strength, but psychological traps meant to dismantle any last fragments of trust. Each exercise pits student against student, demanding sacrifices that grow more horrifying with each passing hour. By the midpoint of the episode, it is clear that Cipher's ultimate goal is not simply to strengthen these young soups, but to hollow them out, to remake them into instruments of war with no allegiance but to his vision of Homelander's America. This chilling revelation sets the stage for some of the most devastating choices the characters will ever face. Kate's reappearance continues to fracture the group, dragging unresolved wounds back into the spotlight at the exact moment they can least afford it. Her betrayal in the past is a wound that never truly closed, and Cipher knows precisely how to press against it. Every word from Kate is met with suspicion. Every glance is loaded with tension. Her very presence feels like a trap that could snap shut at any moment. For Marie, her fury toward Kate is fueled not just by betrayal, but by the fresh grief of Andre's absence, which Cipher manipulates to paint Kate as the embodiment of everything lost. Emma, still burning with anger, sees Kate's return as a provocation, a cruel reminder that the past is not buried. And Jordan, caught between the two, is stretched to the breaking point as they struggle to hold what's left of the group together. In Episode 4, Kate's attempt at reconciliation may very well become the spark Cipher needs to ignite complete collapse, and the audience will be left wondering whether she is truly seeking forgiveness or if she has already fallen under Cipher's sway. Sam, however, becomes the most dangerous piece on this shifting board. Unstable, unpredictable, and desperately searching for belonging, he is the perfect pawn for Cipher to exploit. His reunion with the group is explosive, filled with anger, confusion, and a volatility that threatens to consume everyone around him. Cipher doesn't need to twist Sam's mind too far. He merely sets him on a collision course with his old friends, feeding his paranoia and encouraging his most destructive impulses. By the time the reunion reaches its peak, Sam's presence feels less like a return and more like an invasion, tearing apart the fragile threads that barely hold the group together. The terror lies not only in what Sam might do, but in the knowledge that Cipher is watching, waiting to weaponize his every breakdown into a lesson for the rest of the students. Sam's instability becomes a tool, and his dissent could be the most heartbreaking and devastating consequence of Cipher's manipulation. The mystery of Godolphin's underground operations grows more urgent in this episode, pulling Marie, Emma, and Jordan deeper into a maze of horrors that exposes Vought's most sinister designs. Files uncovered hint at projects that go beyond simple experimentation, pointing to covert programs where students are not just trained, but rebuilt. The chilling realization sets in: Godolphin is no longer an institution of learning. It is a lab where humanity is erased and replaced with obedience. Each experiment, each conditioning exercise, is a brick in the wall of a terrifying future. Cipher isn't building leaders, he's creating weapons. And for the group, the act of uncovering these truths puts them in more danger than ever, because every secret exposed makes them a greater threat to Cipher's control. The more they learn, the closer they come to becoming his next targets, and the closer the audience comes to seeing just how ruthless Vought's agenda has become. Andre's ghost looms heavier than ever in Episode 4, shaping every interaction and every decision the group makes. His absence is no longer just felt, it is weaponized. Cipher uses Andre's death as proof of weakness, suggesting that their grief is evidence they cannot survive in the world he is creating. He twists their pain into shame, and that shame becomes another crack in their unity. Marie feels crushed beneath the weight of what she sees as her failure to protect him. Emma lashes out in violent defiance, and Jordan's attempts to lead are undermined at every turn. The tragedy of Andre's death is that it doesn't just haunt them, it divides them. Cipher doesn't need to defeat them outright. He only needs to let grief destroy them from within. Gen V, Season 2, Episode 4 is not just another chapter in this twisted story. It is the episode where every thread finally begins to unravel, where every lie starts to rot in the open, and where every character is forced to face the kind of choices that will scar them forever. From the first moment, the air at Godolphin feels heavier, the tension tighter, and the danger more immediate. Cipher's grip has grown so suffocating that it becomes impossible to tell who is truly free and who is already under his control. This is what makes Episode 4 so dangerous. It blurs the line between friend and enemy, between ally and betrayer, until no one, not even the audience, can fully trust what they see. Every whispered conversation, every suspicious glance, every sudden silence carries the weight of potential betrayal. Cipher has built an environment where trust is not only rare, it is deadly. And in this poisoned atmosphere, the students begin to eat themselves alive. Marie, once the heart of the group, finds herself drowning in responsibility she never asked for. Her instinct is to protect, to lead, to fight for what's right. But Episode 4 makes it clear that even she is not immune to Cipher's manipulations. The weight of Andre's death bears down on her with every choice she makes, turning her guilt into a weapon that Cipher sharpens against her. She begins to question herself, her judgment, her loyalty, her strength. For the audience, this internal battle is devastating to watch, because Marie has always represented hope, the possibility of resisting Vought's corruption. But Episode 4 shows just how fragile even hope can be under relentless pressure. Cipher does not need to defeat her physically. All he needs to do is convince her that she has already failed. Emma, fiery and impulsive, becomes the embodiment of resistance in this episode, but resistance without direction is dangerous. Her grief for Andre curdles into anger, and that anger lashes out at everyone, even those she loves. Cipher sees this rage and nurtures it, letting her destructive energy create further divisions within the group. Emma's fury is powerful, but in Episode 4, it begins to feel like a blade with no handle, deadly to everyone, including herself. The audience is left wondering whether her fire will become the spark of rebellion or the fire that burns everything to ash. Jordan, caught in the middle, carries the impossible burden of keeping the group together, while everything around them falls apart. Their dual nature, 2 bodies, 1 soul, has always symbolized balance. But in Episode 4, balance is impossible. Every decision is questioned, every attempt at leadership undermined, until Jordan begins to doubt themselves as much as the others do. The tragedy is that Jordan may be the only one capable of holding the group together, yet they are too entangled in the storm of betrayal and grief to see it. Cipher thrives on this uncertainty, using Jordan's doubts as yet another fracture to widen. By the end of the episode, Jordan's struggle feels less like leadership and more like a desperate attempt to keep from drowning. Don't forget to subscribe to Meld Media, hit the like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments below.